it's Scott here. One of the subjects that I touch on regularly from the keynote stage is lessons from science and things that people can do with scientific and a scientific approach in the workplace and with their own personal development, etc. And this is an area that is getting a bit more media at the moment, which is good. But let's just be clear. There's a field of science called Taylorism, called scientific management. That has got nothing to do with using science in the workplace. Have a look it up on YouTube, look it up on Wikipedia. It was about measurement, and it was a very, very, very flawed idea. So don't confuse Taylorism with using science at work. So what do I think? Well, the thing about science, and in particular the scientific method, which is, in my view, the greatest thing ever invented by humankind, is quite difficult, and it can be something that can take time and it can cost money, and that immediately creates a problem for workplaces, because businesses are often working a million miles an hour, need immediate decisions, need things done now, and I think that has put many companies and chief executives off of looking at things from a scientific perspective. And I think it's also why pseudoscience, which doesn't need the rigour nor the research, and it can be a lot cheaper because it's just made up, has become one of the major forces in our organisations over the last 50 years. And I may well come back to that and talk about some of the examples. But so what could we learn from science? Well, as some of you may know, I used to be an HR director. I'm in full recovery, but I used to be an HR director, and one of the things that used to really challenge us in any company, whether it was when I had a proper job or when I was consulting in HR, was performance management. Now, performance management is absolutely full of pseudoscience, but one of the things I think we could really learn from in the HR profession is how to set up an appropriate study. And what I mean by that is how to set up an experiment. I would love to see organisations taking the perception of taking their approach to performance management from a scientific perspective. So how would they do that? Well, they would look at some different models, they would look at some different ideas. So it could be, team rewards, personal rewards, no rewards, whatever, and then they would design experiments around it. Now that could mean that you would have to select a very careful population from your business, you'd have to have pilot schemes, you would have to have a double-blind approach, and I can explain that in another video if anyone wants me to, but that would mean time, money and effort, and some of it wouldn't work. But that, I think, is much better than what they currently do, which is just buy the latest thing, usually from consultancies, that's been made up in an office, they put it in place and it doesn't work. They surround it by sciencey language, but it's not. It needs to be tested in your own context, it needs to be tested in your own environment, rather than just being taken from one place where it has apparently worked and put it into your organisation. So have a think about it, but I honestly think that the methodology of science, which is the bit that when you've worked in science you understand that it's not the findings that are the key bits, it's how you came about the findings, it's the methodologies that matter. So I think the methodologies of science is something I would love to see coming into our organisations much, much more frequently. That was Scott MacArthur, thanks for listening.